Sharpe has traveled the country and has personally visited every county in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Way Radio here on the Voice of Liberty. The number to call after the first break, 585-346-3000. You know, unless you're living under a rock, and maybe you are, and I'm glad you have a radio, if you are. Trump had his first day, starting yesterday, up until now, first 24 hours. How is this going to affect our country, obviously? What's something else? How's it going to affect New York? Now, I thought about a lot of things that he said in his inauguration speech. And one of the things he mentioned, which I thought was critical, was he talked about the idea of a kind of a change happening across the world, kind of the world shifting and adjusting across the entire world. That piece, I think, was important. And it made me think about something. It made me think about how I changed. When I was a kid, teenager, kind of beginning to understand what politics was about, I was raised in New York City and then on Long Island as a teenager. And my family was very left-leaning. My mom was a Democrat, dad was Democrat. I mean, New York City, kind of supposed to be, and they were. So I guess I kind of absorbed a bit of that from my parents. And I think as a kid, I was more left-leaning. But I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17. And when I joined the Marine Corps, most of my leadership were Vietnam vets. My first commander-in-chief was Ronald Reagan, giving my age away. And the Marine Corps is more right-leaning than all the other services. So I think I kind of shifted towards the right at that point. I think I began a bit more left because of my parents. Then I think I shifted a bit more right because of the Marine Corps. And what do I mean by that? I mean that I think the environment affected my politics. Now, as I got older, that became less and less an issue. In fact, I became much more of a rebel and independent, even in my 20s, believe it or not. I was the guy who wanted to vote for things like, I wanted to vote for Ross Perot, Gary Johnson, right? All the rebels, Ralph Nader. I became that guy. So I look at New York, and I remember living in the city, New York City, in 2018. If you had a MAGA hat on, man, you were the evilest person on the planet. And you got some looks, and you might have got some comments, and you might have got all kind of stuff. Now, another one of them. That's really it. I think things didn't change very much. I mean, have changed very much for you if you were someone who wanted to wear a MAGA hat. So my question now becomes, understanding that politics shifts, countries shift, political parties shift, right? They all shift. It does happen. What's going to happen in New York State? Now, obviously, if you lean left, you're probably going to say things like, we got to fight Trump. We got to stop him. He's going to destroy the world. Yep, makes sense if you're left-leaning. If you're right-leaning, you might hear, that's it. Now we can take over the state. We're going to win. I think both of those are wrong. I don't think the state needs to fight Trump and become more left. Nope, don't think so. I don't think all of a sudden magically New York loves Republicans, and now we're all going to become Republican now. I don't see either of those. I'm looking at what our Queen Kathy, first of her name, banisher of conservatives, destroyer of the middle class. What she's doing. I watched her State of the State. I see what her priorities are. And somebody might think, okay, if she's a savvy politician, she'll start doing the Bill Clinton. She'll start shifting to the right. She'll do that, pretend she's left, but start acting a little bit right to kind of get the people who are worried to go, oh, okay, maybe I can still support her. Maybe she's getting it. Yes and no. Yes and no. If you remember her State of the State, all of a sudden, she's a tax cutter. Man, she is a tax cutter. Is that insane? I didn't know that, but she became that all of a sudden. But at the same time of her becoming a tax cutter, I mean, she's not, but she's just saying that. That's the Bill Clinton part, right? I'm going to pretend I'm right because people in the middle don't jump over to the right because Trump's popular now, because everything's shifting that way. I want to make sure you don't do that. So I'm a tax cutter now. With that in mind, she also decided she's going to beat up on the financial groups and companies that buy up all of the real estate. So see, I'm a hardcore lefty too. I'm both. I'm basically Ronald Reagan and Bernie Sanders mixed. I'm the same all together. I think that's what she's actually trying. She's trying to be more left because I got to fight Trump, because she's been saying that forever. Remember her words. If you vote Republican, her words, you are anti-American and you are anti-woman. Well, tough to all of a sudden turn that one around. So now, got to go back. She also said, if you're a conservative, you should get on a bus and go to Florida. Sadly, many conservatives have listened to her. I wish you guys had stayed, but many of you are left. All right, what are you going to do? Maybe we get a better governor, you come back. Anyway, the point being, she's decided that she can't kind of back off on that one. So she can pretend to be right and hope the middle doesn't rush to the right. That's probably not a bad idea. It's probably not a bad idea. And then still be left, and I'm going to fight Trump. But here's the worst part. Even when she goes left, she doesn't do that well enough to even to keep the left people happy. Neither of them. But here's the worst part for us. The state is still 3-1 Democrats, Republican. Still. Republicans are still leaving. Still. Democrats are still staying. Not all of them, but many of them. Still. She doesn't really care about the people. She cares about staying in power. She's going to do exactly what she thinks she needs to do to stay in power. That's her goal. That's what she's doing. Okay, but what about the state? What about the voters? Right? She can do what she's going to do, and she is, right? As the old libertarian saying goes, state is going to state. Got it? But what are the people going to do? How are they going to vote? My biggest worry is they check out. That's my biggest worry. That now more and more New Yorkers go, it doesn't matter, why bother? Stop voting. That's my worry. I have a feeling that's not going to happen. I think New Yorkers are going to actually be more involved. That is my hope. That is what I think is going to happen. But I do worry that if we get too much into this, Kathy Hochul is trying to be everything to everybody, and the Republicans don't know how to react to that, that they don't put up a candidate, independents don't put up a good candidate, and people get worried and go, I'm done. I'm just going to wait till I can leave. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to wait till I retire, or my kid gets out of school, or my elderly parent finally passes, and then I'm out. And then I'm just out. So I don't care what happens in this state. I'm done. That's my worry. I hope I'm wrong. Well, it's not true. I hope that's not true. I actually think people will be more engaged. Here's the issue. Will people be more open to voting non-Democrat than ever? Yes. I think that's true. They'll either vote independent or Republican. There's a problem, though. There's a lot of Democrats in this state who have been told for 20 or 30 years that Republicans are evil, that they're anti-woman, they're anti-American, then there's no place for them in New York. Even Cuomo said it. Cuomo's words. If you're a conservative, there is no place for you in this state. That's what Cuomo said. And King Cuomo II said it. And Queen Kathy, first of her name, has said it. And many conservatives have said, okay, hear you loud and clear. I'm out. So many of them Democrats, though, have heard, yeah, get rid of these evil conservatives. They're terrible. Ooh, they destroy our state. Let's get rid of them all. Why is our state still terrible? I don't get it. We've been getting rid of all these conservatives, and our state's still getting worse. What are we going to do? And their answer is, get rid of more conservatives. That has been their answer. And I know that sounds funny to someone listening. Makes no sense to someone listening. But there's a lot of New Yorkers who believe it. So they're going to be worried. I can't vote conservatives. These people are bad and evil. I've been told this for 20 years. So some of them are going to stick. And they're not going to vote conservative. They're going to vote independent because they can't go there. But lots of people can. They can go all over because they're tired of it. I think the tired piece is a key, and it will open people's minds across New York State. This is going to be a challenging time, but I think there's an opportunity for real change. Am I crazy? You can tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe on the Voice of Liberty, Sharpe Way Radio, back with your calls and your chat. I'm watching you after the break.
These extreme conservatives who are right to life, pro-assault weapons, anti-gay, they have no place in the state of New York because that's not who New Yorkers are.
For the last couple of years, Joe Robach has been telling you about Flower City Collision in Henrietta, saying that it was started by a veteran along with his son, Zach. Hi, my name is Greg Sadwick, and I am that veteran. I want to thank the WYSL listeners for their support over the last couple of years. During those years, not only have I experienced the gratification of providing you the best repairs and customer service, it has also allowed me the opportunity to see my son develop as a young professional. So remember, Flower City Collision for your collision repair needs. And thank you for supporting our locally owned family business.
Introducing a sobering and unavoidable truth. The latest advancements in artificial intelligence have made cyber attacks easier than ever before. Cyber criminals are relentlessly targeting your business right now, seeking the tiniest opening in your defenses to drain your accounts and steal sensitive data. Your finances and your customers' trust are on the line. Call the experts at Simple Tech Innovations now at 585-999-TECH to secure your business today. Don't wait until it's too late. Make the call today. 585-999-TECH.
Dion, you see this most likable spokesperson poll?
Really? I might know somebody. Oh, we're looking forward to this today, aren't we?
Seriously, guys? We're a team. We're not competing against each other.
Ooh, who's a good spokesperson?
2 puppies? I did not expect that from you.
Ooh, one of them's for you. Oh, ooh, who's a good spokesperson? Yes, go to West Her.
Welcome to West Her, New York. Hi, my name is Evan Spindleman, founder and owner of Flood Broker. Flood insurance premiums are skyrocketing, and if you have to have flood insurance coverage,
we have Keith.
You owe it to yourself to call me to see how.
You're welcome. I'll play another Cuomo clip when we come back.
Bank accepted and will satisfy your loan requirement. Please give me a call at
You got it.
736-4366 today to get a free no obligation quote. That's 585-736-4366. Call today.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. We will reach greatness when every American is fully engaged.
Oh, yes. I told you he said it. And there it was. I wasn't making it up. Absolutely. Larry Sharpe here, Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty, 585-346-3000. I do want to grab a quick comment. This is from Jamie. He says, you will see more people go from the Democrat Party to the Independent Party than go to the Republican Party in New York State. I think you're right, Jamie. I think now is the time. There has to be a place for Democrats to go for them to think, wait a minute, I've made a mistake, but I can't go that far. And I know if you're a Republican listening, you're like, Larry, that sounds crazy. But let me ask you, if you're a Republican listening right now, what would it take for you to vote for Kathy Hochul? Yes, the same way you're thinking right now is the way many Democrats are thinking about voting for Republican. It's not easy. It is something that you've been grown in to believe and feel. It's tough. This tribalism is a big deal. So anyway, I'm gonna grab a call if I could. This is Keith. Keith, how are you, sir?
I'm okay. I hang in there. I do. I'm a single guy. I hang in there, and I go my way, and a lot of the rest of you go your way politely. I called in with two comments at the end of the last segment. You left us with Cuomo's comments, including gun-toting conservatives. Culturally, people should understand here in New York, there used to be flat-out gun clubs in the high schools.
Yes.
You could walk around a young person with a shotgun, hopefully pointed up or down so the barrel would not be threatening, but people could walk around with guns like it was no big deal, and people should really understand and notice the cultural change that is not allowed anymore. Just everyone stop and think. Gun clubs in the schools and everyone, it was no big deal. Secondly, having to do with Hochul, she and her people already know she is falling out of favor with white people, and I noticed when she gave a state of the state, you could hear it in the background. I do not have TV, so in the background on the radio, I noticed she was playing up to African Americans with all of the to say it, black cultural music, the poets and everything. She leaned heavily on black people there to provide entertainment when she was giving the state of the state. So I want to say this without being overly rude to black people. Blacks still remain the least sophisticated part of the population when it comes to politics. The Dems have badly hurt black people amongst many other groups in this state, but here you still have, and I'm going to say it, African Americans coming to someone like Hochul, like little children, and buying into what the Dems have always offered up to African Americans, and they don't seem to get that much more sophisticated as the years go on. So you have
let me touch both, if I could. Let me first touch the gun club piece. Keith, I agree with you. I think the gun club idea was a big deal outside of New York City, everywhere, even Long Island, upstate New York. It was not uncommon. I'm old enough to remember that a 17-year-old kid could literally have a gun rack in his pickup truck, and that pickup truck is parked in the school parking lot. So yes, agreed completely. The world didn't end. We didn't have a bunch of shootings. I think it was a norm, and I think it's one we could have. The gun violence issue is a cultural issue, is a problem with people being unhappy. It's not a problem with guns. Agreed completely. Your second piece, I'll break that up into two pieces. Yes, many Democrats spend their time pandering to the Black community. True. So much of the Republicans have not really done much when it came to reaching out to the Black community. The best person who reached out to the Black community, and this may make people laugh, has been Donald Trump. Most Republicans are not good at reaching out to the Black community. Donald Trump, not that he's great, but the bar is very low. So he's much better at reaching out to them than anybody else. Your idea of sophistication, that's not a race issue. That is very often a class issue. And that may sound negative, but if we want to just be forward, it's more of a class issue than anything else. You look at people who are in trouble, who are in need, they look for someone to assist them. And whether that person is Black, white, or Hispanic, because again, the reason why I'll bring this up is you look at many Black people who are entrepreneurs, many Black people who are immigrants. They don't follow that at all. It's a class issue. So does it seem like it's more Black? I think yes, because the percentage of Black people who have been hammered into lower class, by percentage, more than others. Now, clearly by full numbers, there are more white people because of just the numbers. But by percentage, I think you're right. There's more Black who've been put in that position. I'll add another piece if I could. The Republicans have not been good at reaching out to the Black community. Again, except Donald Trump, which is why he did so well. And if you remember in his inauguration speech, he literally thanked Blacks and Hispanics. He was like, you guys actually came through for me. That wasn't the case before. And one of the reasons is the Democrats put their hands out and say, I'm going to help you. You're right, Keith, they don't, but they say it. The Republicans ignore them. Well, I have a world where Republicans ignore me. Democrats tell me they're going to help. So I got some hope there. And then to my point earlier, where I grew up in the Bronx, it was basically a Black neighborhood. I had a couple of white friends, but almost all my friends were Black. Some were Hispanic. It's a Black neighborhood. So with that in mind, they were told, I was told, my family believed, Democrats care about you, Republicans hate you. That's what we were told. Well, Keith, if you're told that for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, what are you going to think? It's my entire point from earlier. How do you make that shift? The reverse is also true. There have been people who've been told Democrats hate you. They're evil. You can't believe any of them for 10, 20, 30 years. Same piece. Am I making sense, Keith?
Yes, I was going to bring yourself into this mix. You have stated, I do believe you're a biracial parenthood. On the one hand, you have your famous German flag in front of you there where you sit. But you've also stated that at least one of your parents is Black, African-American. Just as I'm registered conservative and don't do anything Republican to say it that way, why don't you bypass the Republicans also, and you, Mr. Larry Sharpe, for me to phrase it this way, go to your fellow African Americans and get them up to speed. If you, Mr. Sharpe, and it's up to you if you want to, even for me to phrase it, have to admit that the whiteness in you gives you your leg up to be the person of Larry Sharpe, period. But since you do have slightly Black in you, you could go to other Blacks and bring them up to speed and get them more sophisticated on politics work.
Well, it's a good point. And colorism is a thing. That's true. But I'm up on a break. I promise I will cover that, Keith. Thank you for that call. When I come back from the break, I will cover your issue. Right now, it's Larry Sharpe on Sharpe Way Radio, the voice of liberty. 585-346-3000. Back with your calls, with your chat, and I'll answer his colorism piece after the break.
tends to be a little more conservative in upstate New York, and I think they don't know me as well.
God bless America.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon, Rochester. WLEA WCKR FM Pornell.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Partly cloudy, breezy, very cold once again. Temps down around 0. The wind chill as low as 20 below, just a couple of flurries. On Wednesday, after a bitter cold morning, we'll start to ease out a bit during the afternoon with sun and clouds. Temps back up into the teens, into the 20s on Thursday, closer to 30 by Friday. I'm Rich Canilia for the Voice of Liberty.
FM Talk. Canisteo Valley Update.
The family of Ryan Corbett of Dansville, they're elated that Ryan is being released from being a hostage. He's been held by the Taliban in Afghanistan since August 2023. The Corbett's are publicly thanking many officials, including President Donald Trump, Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, Senator Chuck Schumer, and Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
I've been working for years with his wife, Anna, to get his release. We've been very worried most recently that his health was diminished. And so to hear this amazing news that he is en route now back to the United States is just a welcome blessing.
Gillibrand also says she wants to thank all of those involved for their unwavering and tireless work. The senator says she wishes Ryan and his family the best as they move forward. Brian O'Neill for the Voice of Liberty.
When you think chicken, think Stearns Poultry Farm Stores. Stearns Poultry Farm Stores with 2 locations, Seneca Street, Hornell, and Route 244 in Alfred Station. Stearns, the best chicken in these parts.
Bob Savage here for Aaron Moore. As you feel those dropping temps, I invite you to do what we do here at WYSL. Slash your heating costs this season with Aaron Moore infrared zone heaters. They can save you big compared to just using your furnace. It's how we stay comfy here at Radio Ranch. Aaron Moore heats healthier. No burning of oxygen and particulates to dry out your nose and skin. You get even quiet heat that fills rooms with warmth, not dust and blower noise. Aaron Moore heaters are completely safe. No hot surfaces or heating elements to pose shock or fire hazards, plus complete safety for children and pets. For a limited time, save $30 on either size Aaron Moore, and either the Comfort Deluxe size or the Compact Comfort Buddy for smaller areas. Specify discount code WYSL in your shopping cart. Free shipping in the continental U.S., and you'll never have to replace any bulbs because of Aaron Moore Copper PTC technology. Maintenance-free Aaron Moore infrared zone heaters are the way to really save on heating bills. Call 800-707-8725 or visit air-more.com.
Your go-to for standard of specialized business insurance coverage. MGM Associates of Rochester, now serving the region and beyond in New York. Since 1984, MGM has provided leading coverage from a wide range of carriers. Not only home, condo, boat, motorcycle, and auto, but also specialized policies for all types of businesses, including nonprofits and law firms, livery insurance, property insurance, and bonds for all needs. MGM Associates of Rochester provides auto, workers' comp, healthcare, and liability coverage. Choose from virtual appointments or good old in-office, in-person consults by appointment at our Penfield office. 5-time consecutive winner of the National Best Practices Award, MGM is proud to support veterans groups. For your personal, business, home, or professional insurance needs, meet the experienced staff at MGM Associates. Locally and proudly owned at 1745 Penfield Road in Penfield, 381-7008, or mgminsure.com. An associate of United Frontier Mutual Insurance, 190 Davison Road, Lockport, New York.
Tutti e piedi sono belli. That means all feet are beautiful. Andrea's Foot Care makes house calls with advanced foot care services to reveal the beauty of your feet. Call 585-381-4297. Yes, we make house calls, so call 585-381-4297. Our website is andreasfootcare.com.
Hi, my name is Greg Sadwick, and along with my son Zach, we are the owners of Flower City Collision. We've been advertisers on WYSL, the Voice of Liberty, for the last couple of years. So I want to thank the listeners of WYSL for their patronage, which has allowed us to grow and reinvest in the latest technologies to ensure that your vehicles are repaired to the most current standards, whether conventional or EV. If you're in a collision, reach out to Zach at Flower City Collision in Henrietta, and he'll work with your national insurance company on your local behalf to ensure that your repair gets done right.
Man, it's so cold. It sure is.
Your gift to the Open Door mission will provide warmth and restore hope. And by restoring hope, you'll change lives.
Coming back with a Cuomo clip.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
And if there is a move to deport immigrants, I say then start with me.
Not a bad idea at all. I agree. Let's do that. If he wants to volunteer, I'm in. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty, 585-346-3000. I want to grab a couple things. First, I want to deal with Keith's question about colorism. I'm not sure that's what he meant, but I think that's what he meant. There is colorism in the Black community. You know, being darker versus being lighter, people caring about, how you look, judging you as not Black enough or too Black or whatever is the issue, depending upon where you are. That's a thing. His question about me talking to other Black people, I do. If you watched my show, I have. When it comes to libertarians, you are not going to find a person who has more Black people on a show than me. Very rare to find someone who does that, right? It's just true. Not just that, you see me support people like, as an example, Maj Touré, who is a libertarian in Philadelphia. So I think I do. But to be forward with you, to your earlier part, this is difficult. A lot of the Black community is hardcore Democrats. That's true. So do I chip away at it? I do. I wish I had more people helping me, but yes, I do. So I do think it does happen. So I wanted to bring that up. I hope I answered your question. I want to grab a comment. This is from Peace Logic. He says, I agree with most of your solutions. I voted Democratic mostly, except recently, but would call myself an independent. How different is libertarian than Democrat? How hard to convert? Very easy to convert. It depends on what state you're in. If you're in New York, impossible, because New York State hates other parties. It is a one-party state. Well, two parties officially, but one-party state. New York State last year was the only state in the entire union that had no independent candidates for president on the ballot. None. The only one. Every other state had at least one. Some had 2, 3, or 4. New York had none. That's what an embarrassment this state is. That's how embarrassing. No one. Your choice was Kathy Hochul when she ran, and your other choice was Kamala Harris. Take it and shut up. That was your answer. But generally speaking, very easy. Here's a libertarian, for those of you who don't get it. It doesn't matter whether you lean left or lean right. What matters is, do you want to use government to force people to change? If you go, no, I don't, you can be libertarian. That's it. You can be more left-leaning or right-leaning. It's okay. I joke all the time because if you know me, you know I've been on a ketogenic diet lifestyle for 14 years. Do I push it? No. Do I say you should be on it? No. Do I think it's amazing for me? Yes, or I wouldn't be on it. But I'm a libertarian. So I don't want to force it. I don't want to make anyone else do it. If you ask my opinion, I'm happy to tell you. Do I think it's wonderful? Yes. But I'm libertarian. You should have the diet and lifestyle that you want. Now, look at Eric Adams, who's a vegan/vegetarian or something. What did he do when he was mayor? Meatless Mondays. He used government to force people to be vegetarians one day of the week. Yes, that's Democrat. If he was like, no, don't want to force anybody. He thinks that veganism and vegetarianism is the right answer. Awesome. But he doesn't want to force it. Libertarian view. And that's the key. Do I believe in not coercion, but influence? There's the biggest difference.
The rain.
So I want that to be clear. Let me grab a call if I could. This is Lorraine. How are you?
Larry, I don't think I ever called your show, but I'm enjoying it today, and always enjoy Keith. And I wanted to say a couple things about culture and the influence of that rather than color of skin or anything else.
Okay.
I'm a classical freak. I mean, I ran a chamber music group here, and I'm a pianist. But Gateway Festival is an example of the thought that it's a good, and I agree, to have all Black organizations sometimes. They perform beautifully, and one of their member I want to perform with, and I have to confess one reason. That is, if I tell the people to whom I'm applying to perform in their venue, if I tell them that one of my players is Black, I have a better chance of getting in there. Because of the view of this diversity thing. And what matters is that both of us play beautifully. And the other thing I was going to say is, you know, Germans prefer maybe a polka, or Polish people do. And somebody has the favorite color green. And why can't we look at it like culture is like that? Rap is something that started more with Black population, you know,
in the Bronx. Yes.
But I think there are a number of whites who probably listen to it reluctantly. I can't stand some of it, but I think some is very clever. And they had improvisation in the beginning, which I thought was wonderful, you know, for rap.
So
I mean,
let me grab a couple pieces here, if I could, Lorraine. First piece, the idea of having something only, Black only, Irish only, so-and-so only. The problem I have with that is only when you make it law. That's my issue. If you don't make it law, I don't mind. If you want to have an Irish group, if you want to have a German group, a Black group, a Hispanic group, even more, you want to have a Venezuelan group or whatever, I don't have a problem, because you are voluntarily deciding that and people are voluntarily getting together. The problem is we have a culture from the post-Civil War to where they made laws that force people to not integrate. And when you have that, that's the problem. People naturally integrate. You just said it. You want to play in these groups that happen to be all Black. I get it. Most people want to do and go to where what they see as the best is. And if they see that the best happens to be Black, they want to be part of that. They see it as white, they want to be part of it. They want to be part of whatever is what they see as is best. So I agree with you in that regard. I'm not upset about an all Black this or an all Irish that or an all Italian this. I'm actually not. I think after the Civil War, there were many Black communities that created their own Wall Streets, and they were very successful. And who stopped them? Government. Who bombed them? Government. Who sent the army in? Government. Because it didn't want that to happen. And when government gets involved, that's the problem. As I say all the time, humans, Americans, people, we are not naturally racist. We are naturally tribal. Tribal doesn't have to be on race. It can be, and sometimes is, and government forces it. But without government, we're not naturally racist. We create tribes over everything. Baseball teams, cities we live in, music we listen to. It doesn't matter. So I think that's an issue. But that doesn't mean we have to be violent or we have to have laws against it. Second piece you mentioned, the idea of having a Black friend or having an Hispanic friend to get into something. That's a cultural issue too. That is us now deciding that I'm better or cooler than you because I'm more diverse than you. Now, is diversity a good thing? It can be, absolutely. And if we simply allow the market to decide, the market will decide what diversity works best. It will do it on its own. We won't have to, because to your point, you'll see a Black band and go, wow, they're great. And you'll want to grab the best people from that band, and they'll happen to be Black. And what happens if there's no Hispanics who are great? Well, then you don't have any Hispanics. The market has chosen. So now Hispanics can either get great or they're not going to be in the band. Both are okay. So I think you're right. This is a cultural issue. The last piece I think you brought up was the concept of cultural appropriation. Now, cultural appropriation is based on something real and did happen, but that was, again, because of government and because of law. When you had a time where you would take somebody's idea or somebody's group, some group's music or entertainment, take it, make money, and physically not allow them to make money, that is cultural appropriation. Because I want to be a white guy and rap, that's not cultural appropriation. That is literally saying, I like it. That's what we should be doing. We should all be appropriating in that regard. The issue is, are you making money off something and stopping the other group from making money off of it? If that's happening, then that's cultural appropriation. But some white kid buying a rap album is not that. Some white kid deciding he wants to wear dreads is not that. Now, if you pass the law saying black people can't wear dreads and white people can, that would be cultural appropriation. We don't have that. It's not a thing. I think if you leave people alone, they tend to integrate on their own. And my example of this is the South. The South is more integrated than the North is. Why? The laws ended and people naturally integrated. I'm sorry, Lorraine, did I answer your questions?
I'm still here, and you got one thing wrong. I don't want to play with the black group. I want one of the players to enhance my chances.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Then you want one of the players as a cultural issue. I'll buy it. Thank you, Lorraine, for the call. I appreciate it. So, am I right? Am I wrong? Am I culturally appropriating you? Maybe I am. You can tell me. 585-346-3000. Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty. And I promise I will get to your chat right after the break.
They used an expression that Southern Italians were called, I believe they're saying Southern Italians, Sicilians, I'm half Sicilian, were called, quote unquote, wops. N-word wops.
Introducing a sobering and unavoidable truth. The latest advancements in art.
Couldn't resist playing that where he actually said the N-word on live radio.
Than ever before. Cyber criminals are relentlessly targeting your business right now, seeking the tiniest opening in your defenses to drain your accounts and steal sensitive data. Your finances and your customers' trust are on the line. Call the experts at Simple Tech Innovations now at 585-999-TECH to secure your business today.
Okay, we're going to have Roger.
Make the call today. 585-999-TECH.
Well, just remember, if you just say, thanks for calling, I'll pot them down and we'll be done with it and you can move on. Thanks.
Value in what others are tempted to discard. Their bank feels the same. While other financial institutions cycle through business relationships, Tompkins Bank knows the best things are worth preserving and lead to long-term growth. Tompkins, your bank of choice. Find out more at tompkinsbank.com.
Livingston County Pizza Company and Gluten-Free Bakery has a great deal on Tuesdays. A large 4-topping pizza for $18, regular or gluten-free. Call 226-9575. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Livingston County Pizza Company and Gluten-Free Bakery in Avon.
Avon Gun and Hunting Supply, a locally owned and operated gun shop specializing in...
Okay, gonna play a clip when you hear the music. You're on.
Pistol serviced and tuned before you take it to the field. Open from 10 a.m. Tuesday through Saturday.
You think me now, wait till you hear the clip.
Street, next to Tompkins Community Bank.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
You're fired. 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 You're fired.
We can only hope that we hear that in 2026. Well, who knows? Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio, the voice of liberty. So happy you'll give me a small chunk of your afternoon. I want to grab a quick comment, a couple comments if I could, some positive ones. David says, I appreciate you, Larry. Aw, that's so sweet. There we go. And Joe says, Trump frees Ross Ulbricht day 1, day 2. Yeah, I'm hoping Trump keeps some of his promises to the Libertarian Party. We'll see if he does. I have been worried, but we'll see. Bridget says, Larry, you're awesome. Oh, thank you. I do appreciate that. Absolutely. Tony says, you didn't shift. The left moved further left. Which left? You were closer to the right. Which left me closer up? Yeah. Okay. I've heard that before. Let me grab a call if I could. This is Roger. How are you, sir?
Hey, what up? What up?
What's going on?
Okay, so a few things. So one, okay, what you said about independent, I have a saying. People will not always move when you want them to move in the direction you wish for them to move to, at the speed at which you wish they would, but eventually they will. You just have to show them grace and patience, and they eventually will come to see things your way. My objective to get this state to be a majority, no-party independent state looks like it's coming to fruition. With that, we could probably run independent candidates for state legislature that can transform us into a citizen ballot initiative state and a swing state. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay.
So let me touch that if I could. The first piece is, I think you're right in that there are now more independents than there are Republicans, but there are still double Democrats than independents still. The second piece is, yes, you're right, but to do that, we really have to change ballot access laws. As I said, last year was the first time New York State in over 80 years did not have an independent on the ballot for president. And 2022, it was the first time in 80 years or 78 years that New York State did not have an independent on the ballot for governor. And we were the only state last year that did not have an independent candidate on the ballot for president. So yes, but ballot access laws have to change.
Okay. So 2, I don't know what in the world Keith is smoking, but I want some of that. Saying black people are not sophisticated, but I don't know where Keith is getting these ideas from about black people when he probably hardly knows any in his life himself. If he does, he's most likely talking about his age group, his generation. And you and me are not the representative of black people, nor do we speak for them.
That's
talking
correct.
Talking about the whiteness in you, and you can talk to this black person or black person or whatever, is not being sophisticated. I got news for him. Most Americans are not politically sophisticated. However, if you want to bring race into it, well, then I can point to the unsophistication of white people living in the top 10 poorest states, where only 2 of them are blue states, New York, which is number 9, and New Mexico at number 3. The rest of them, Mississippi, Louisiana, West Virginia, Kentucky, Arkansas, Alabama, Oklahoma, Tennessee, all run by Republicans. And how are those white people doing? They're not going to be, this is not about sophistication. People have just given up on the system because they see nothing is working for them. Okay. Now,
well, this is my point. If you know that I never attack anybody, I let people talk and say what they feel. I think we have to have conversations. But my retort was, this is a class issue, right? If there is someone who's surrendered or given up, it's very often people who've been hammered into the lowest social classes. They feel, why bother? It doesn't matter what I do. So they either do nothing, to your point, and check out, or number 2, they fall back into their cultural norms. I'm a Republican, so I vote Republican. I'm a Democrat, so I vote Democrat. I think you're right.
So check this out. If Keith was paying attention, he would know that black Zoomers, millennials, and half of Generation X are not rocking with the Democrats like that, but are looking for third-party, independent, and hopefully initiatives. This is more of a generational thing. You see what I'm saying?
I think that's accurate. If you look where Trump was able to get the biggest chunk of the black community.
4 minutes left.
It was young black men. I think that's accurate. It was young black men moved the most to him than anybody else. That's true.
So, just something to think. And what the lady was talking about before about bans and whatever the case is, and she had to get a black person to get a class. I don't know what it was she was talking about, but here's the
she
thing,
was saying, and it's a common thing. If you have someone of color, however that group defines that, you have a higher chance of getting a gig. That's an accurate thing that happens often.
However, when you have black families that are looking to get their home appraised, who do they go and get to appraise to make believe the home is theirs? They get their white friends to show up the home for them, because and then when they get it appraised, they see a difference of $100,000 at minimum in the appraisal value. So it goes both ways.
100%. Thanks for the call, Roger. I appreciate it. We got a race day today. Look, I don't mind. talking about race.
3 minutes.
Frank says, yesterday I had surgery in a local hospital. My surgeon was black. My anesthesiologist was black. They did a great job. Well, there we go. I like that. Frank goes on to say, sports is the best equalizer. I grew up as a white boy in the hood, but in baseball, I was a very good player. I always got chosen first when we played sand-lot baseball. I think that is a big deal. Yes. Andrea agrees with Roger. She says, I see my fellow Gen X friends leaning independent as well. Yeah, I agree. Yes. Valerie says, hi, Larry. I'll do you one better. I love you. Oh, thank you. You know that because when you come to town on your tour, I bring my family and we enjoy spending time with us. You said first time in 80 years, no other party ran. This is because Cuomo and his laws, right? Yes. You all are right. Hamburg-Holcomb needs to go in 2026. Yes, and yes. 100%. I completely agree with everything you just said. So, all righty. Mike Voss says, Hochul has promised to fight Trump policies. That's true. It's why she has to still pretend like she's fighting whether she is or not. You're right, Mike. She has to. Like California, Illinois, Washington, the progressive strongholds want to dig into their echo chambers and ignore the will of the public, even as it hurts the public. They don't care about the public. They just want to make sure that their donors keep giving them money and they keep in power. Hochul doesn't care if she wins by 1 point or 50 points. A win is a win. That's all she cares about. So I'm with you. I agree. He goes on to say, the only shift in the progressive strongholds is the constant move to the left. Local races may go more centrist, right by default, but Dems will spend like crazy to maintain control. I disagree. They will pretend to go left, but they will go wherever they think the money is. That's the key. It comes down to two things. It's not about race. It's often about class, but it's always about money. You can guarantee that. Guys, I will say thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon.
Larry,